You're not lazy. You're just lost, my friend. Don't know where you're going. And so you don't know what all this is for. And it's really hard to justify doing hard things when that's the case. It just is. And so if you find it difficult to wake up early in the morning or go to the gym consistently or eat healthy, it's because you're not immersed in a future vision you have for yourself, right? You don't see it clearly. Or maybe you just don't know that it's possible. It could be one of the two. But it's probably the latter. As you know, you can do anything. You have that capability so long as you put in the hard work. But perhaps you just haven't immersed yourself within that vision quite enough. You haven't felt it, you haven't smelt it, you haven't touched it, you haven't tasted it. And so it's just like this distant fairy tale that people say that you can have if you work hard. But like, really? Can I really have that? The answer is yes, of course. But it's hard to know that when it exists in this matter. And so the reason that you can't do the things that you know that you should be doing in order to be a better version of yourself is because you haven't identified the point B, right? Like where you're at right now is point A. If you don't have a point B, you don't have a destination. If you don't have a destination, then you're just lost. You're lost. And so on that early morning, when it's cold and you're warm under your blankets and you got to get up and go to the gym or go on a run or make a healthy breakfast or meditate, whatever it may be, there's going to be that voice in your ear, and it's always there. And it's going to try and convince you to just stay in bed. And, you know, if you don't have a real reason why, if you're not connected to a deeper why, you know, if you're not fueled by anything, then like, why not listen to that voice, you know? Why not just stay in bed? Why not just eat the unhealthy thing? Why not just do what you want, you know? Because that's what it is at the end of the day, just doing what's easy. That's why it's so important. But I wanted to make this video because there's a lot of people out there that are like victimizing themselves or turning against themselves, even worse. But you're not, like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's not that you're not capable or you're not strong enough. It's just that, look, 1 + 1 = 2. So if you want to make it really simple, if you have a starting point and no end point, then you're not going to have direction, okay? And we need direction as human beings. We need direction. That's where we get meaning. That's where we get purpose. That's why we're able to find confidence in the steps that we're taking. That's why we're able to justify doing difficult things. That's why we're able to justify struggle and suffering. You know, like that's what we're built off of. We have a vision and we go after it no matter what stands in our way. But if you don't have the vision, like, what are you doing it for? You know? So you're not lazy. You're not lazy, okay? You're just missing the why. So how do you find the why? Well, you need to spend more time with yourself. Because the way you were created with an identity, with an energy, an essence, one of divinity, one that is boundless. And so this identity, this energy that lies within you, it has a DNA to it, right? It resonates at a unique vibration. And if our purpose in life is to pursue our full capability in mind, body, and spirit, if you want to view that process as watering your own plant, okay, what your flower will look like fully blossomed will be different because you have a unique DNA, a unique essence to your identity. right? And so if you from this day forward do everything it takes to prioritize pursuing your full capability in mind, body, and spirit, going to the gym, reading books, networking, working on your skills, pursuing your craft or your venture to its full capability, taking risks, putting yourself in the face of discomfort, all the things, right? What that best version of you will look like will be different than the next person. Okay, that is a result of you having your identity resonating or vibrating at a unique frequency. And so where do you get the why from this? Where do you get the vision? Well, you need to understand your frequency. You need to understand your identity, what resonates with it. And you can only do that by spending time with yourself. Okay, this is like, maybe you're not used to getting answers that are, deeper, because a lot of, not to throw shade at anybody, but a lot of personal development guys or personal development videos you'll find on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, they don't talk about real stuff. They just say what's easy for clicks and likes and views. But this is real. This is a real solution. This is a real way of understanding this, and it will help you greatly if you pay attention and be present in this video. The only way that you can understand your identity and immerse yourself within it, embody it, is to spend time with yourself, with no distractions, no light, no sound, no outside forces. You want all of your energy and focus to be shifted within. And so dedicate 30 minutes of your day even to just no screens, no light, just silence. And what this will naturally do is your mind will have nothing, because what you're doing is literally depriving yourself of your senses. And when you deprive yourself of your senses, your mind has nothing external to grasp onto. And so what happens is all of your mental focus, your consciousness goes within. And most of us, especially in a world like today, we're not used to being in that kind of state. And it seems really simple, it seems really innocent, but it has a weight to it, it has a depth to it. All of the noise, all the thoughts, like your mind is kind of like a hamster wheel when you're going throughout your day on autopilot. And when you enter the state of sensory deprivation, the momentum, the fuel that keeps this hamster wheel of thought moving stops. And eventually it comes to a standstill. And now where do you find yourself? You find yourself in a really special place. You find yourself in a state of mind, in a state of being, really, that is quiet, that's still, that is grounded. And, the dust starts to settle and you see what remains. All the noise starts to fade away. What's left? That is you. That is you. And, I can't really tell you what that will be like in words, because it's not meant to be described in words. We are beings that feel. That is the truth that we know most as human beings, is truth that is felt. And so if you want to know who you are, you have to feel it, not describe it or not discover it, in an external manner, or by reading a book or even watching a video like this. This is the instruction, but you have to implement. And so the dust settles and the noise fades, and you're left with this essence, this energy in which you feel deeply. And if you spend enough time there consistently, you'll slowly become aligned with it. And your connection to it gets stronger and stronger. And this feeling is really like a resonance. It's an energy. It's a vibration. And the better you understand, the more you immerse yourself within this identity of yours, the better you'll be able to look out into the external world, into like physical reality, and identify things that resonate at the same frequency. Because everything in the external world does resonate as well at a frequency, has a resonance to it. And so whether you choose to wear all black or you choose to dress more in an eccentric manner, the movies you decide to watch, the music you decide to listen to, the people you decide to spend your time around, the passions that you have, the career you're pursuing, the destination you choose to travel to for your annual vacation, the perfume or cologne that you choose to wear. The reason you do that is because you feel like it aligns with you. Okay? And so if you want to think about this in terms of energy, you're taking one energy, which is you or your identity, and you're taking something in the external world that also has an energy, a vibe to it. You know, that's where we get this word. And you resonate with it, you align with it. And so you pick that thing, you make that decision, you choose that path, you choose that person. Okay? So the better you understand your identity, your energy, your frequency, the more confidently you can make decisions in the real world, in physical reality. And so how does this tie back into deriving a strong sense of vision for your future? Well, a good example that I like to use, since we're talking about identity, is brand identity. You know, think about some of the most popular companies in the world. For example, Nike. Nike has a brand identity. You know, we all know Nike, and we know all the little different aspects of what it feels like to experience or engage with Nike, okay, the brand, the company. Everything from the way the storefront is designed to the employees are wearing, to their design in their products, to the way they position themselves in the market, their mission, their vision, their advertising, their color palette, their aesthetic, everything. There's a bunch of different aspects to it. But it's not just like one of these things that makes the Nike. It doesn't just make their brand identity what it is. It's like a conglomerate of things that create a cohesive experience in which we feel. Okay, and if we know that feeling well enough, then we can take Nike's brand identity and plug it into an industry that's completely unrelated. For example, the hotel industry. Now, Nike's never made a hotel. But because you understand Nike's brand identity well enough, you know that feeling well enough, you could probably, with pretty good accuracy, envision what a Nike hotel might look like, how it would be designed, the layout of it, what it would smell like, the aesthetic, the overall aesthetic of it. Okay, and maybe take a brand like Marlboro, the cigarette brand, or maybe a cigar brand you could use as well. That, you know, Marlboro's hotel, if they made one, would look drastically different than Nike. Well, why can we make that distinction even though we have no experience with Nike or Marlboro making a hotel? It's because of the identity aspect. And so if you want to apply this to your personal life, if you know your identity well enough, if you know what that feels like, the energy, the vibe to it, then you can plug that into your future. You can look into your future and understand how that future version of yourself might dress. You can understand the type of cologne or perfume that they might wear. You can understand what they do for a living. You can understand the type of people that they choose to spend their time with, the things that they choose to associate with, the type of lifestyle that they live, the type of car that they drive. You could also determine the house that they live in, where they go for their vacation spot, everything, every little detail, the way they decorate their room. All those things have an energy to them. And so if you understand your identity that lies within you, which is not changeable, it is innate to you, it is of divinity, then you can plug that into your future and understand what that really looks like. And so when you re-enter these moments of being with yourself, where you remove all distractions, all noise, all external forces, and you shift all of your focus within, you can really envision your future and feel it. And you can kind of tie an alignment between your identity that you experience and feel right now and the future that you envision. And that connection is your point A to point B. Yeah. That's powerful. That's like a life-changing perspective. If you adopt this, if you really understand this and take the time to immerse yourself within this ideology, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's changed my life, certainly, entirely. You know, I used to be what you might consider a lazy individual, but I just didn't know where I was going. The moment I started doing this process, the moment I started to understand these things, I became confident in where I was going. I became confident in the decisions that I was making. I started to align myself, my present self, with my future state, the future vision that I had painted, which was derived from the identity that I had immersed myself within. And with time, with every step that I was taking toward that point B, toward that vision, I could feel myself embodying my true self, my identity. Now, all of a sudden, doing the things that put you into alignment with your future self becomes a lot more exciting. You become a lot more willing to do them. Right? And, you know, these things on a day-to-day basis that you know that you should be doing, that you actually don't want to do and end up not doing because of that, become enticing. They become exciting. They become easy, effortless. They flow like water. What if you could reach a state like that? What could stop you then, my friend? I don't think anything. Because the only thing that has stopped you thus far is that voice in your head that justifies your feeling for not wanting to do something. But now you do, and so I don't think that voice has anything to stand on. And that voice is evil, by the way. Spiritual war is a whole nother aspect, but you strip evil's power, its presence. You strip it completely, and you look at it for what it truly is. It's almost pitiful, really. But this only happens when you connect your innate identity, this gift that God gave you, and you use that in conjunction with your ability as a human being to envision, to imagine, to paint a future for yourself that's aligned with this identity. And naturally, you just start to take steps closer to that. And so moral of the story is that you're not lazy, you're just lost. But hopefully after watching this video, you're a little bit less lost. And I hope that you implement some of the things that I talked about. Because I can't even express in words how much this process, this perspective, this way of life really, I guess, has and is changing my life in real time. I've done videos in the past that go really in depth about my story and where I've gone and where I've gotten to and where I'm headed. And so I won't bore you with that now, but this will help you transform. And at a pace that I don't think that you would think is possible. I'm excited for you, truly. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you soon.